Hello, everyone. I am hoping I'm live now. So if you're here and you're listening, then please just drop a comment. I've had some issues with my internet while I was testing. So I'm hoping that I'm live and that you can all hear me and see me. So, yes, absolutely. Just drop a chat. Oh, hello, Elizabeth. Yes, happy Sunday to you, special one. Thank you so much for joining again. So yes, if you're new to this, hello, Michelle. Nice to have you join us. So lovely. Please drop a little hello and you're all welcome. Hello, Ilona. Nice to have you here. It's a bit of a cold afternoon in Cape Town, but we have a fire going to warm up the lounge, which is beautiful. And as always, I welcome you to this Sunday series, which started off in a slightly different way and then kind of took well, not really a U-turn, but I got some information about what this is intended to be. And so let's go back to that. If you haven't watched my first video in the series, hey Tal, nice to have you here. Then please go and watch it, because this series started with a very, very strong prompting from Spirit. It was almost like an overwhelming urge that I got to come and do these Sunday series. And it was about the fact that we all know transformation is happening. We all know the energetic matrix of the planet is breaking down and a new one is being created. But my very first session in the series was very strongly about it's up to every individual. And as a healer, I have been receiving regular information about this over lockdown and lots of energetic symbolism. And so I cannot ever hope to present in one session all of the information. Hello, Zon, welcome. But I'm hoping, because I was shown this, that in the channeling today and in any channeling I do, when I'm saying channeling, all I'm doing is I'm just pulling in information and I'm sending it out through the mechanism of my throat and my physical body, is that there is going to be healing that is happening today. And that felt very clear. Hello, Celeste. Thank you. Lots of love to you too. Is that it felt like the energy that is coming through now today with this, despite what words I'm going to share, is very powerful and is very healing, because it feels like whoever it is needed, I'm going to be realigning you. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But what is becoming very clear to me is from the first part or the first episode I shared about these metamorphosis series, and I called it the metamorphosis because of the transformation. And then 2 weeks into that, I had a dream about a white rose, which is why this is now called the White Rose Teachings, and a whole stream of information that came to me about just bypassing my human worries, concerns, and humility, and to just share information because it feels like it's needed right now. So what I wanted to share with you today, and this is quite an important lesson. I don't know how it's going to resonate, but it feels like I had to share it. And it might be a bit, contentious, right? Because I'm going to be using words that we've used for centuries, thousands of years, which have now no longer a meaning, or it means that we're looking for a new meaning with them. And this comes from a manuscript that I kind of started a couple of years ago, which hopefully will one day be a book. But for now, it's just a manuscript. And what I got then was, and here comes the thing, is that there is lots of words and terminology going around. There is lots of speak around energy. There's lots of speak around star seeds and light workers and all of that. But for me, the big elephant in the room is this word we use called God, right? And the fact that religions for us, for many people on the planet, are no longer working. But at the same time, there hasn't been a common language or an understanding to actually replace all of that. And for as long as I can remember in my own life, since I was a little tiny person, I was kind of chasing the whole concept of what God is. But there was one thing that I knew more than anything, is that we are not separate to this energy, this omnipresent field we call God. So what I wanted to share with you today is my take on that word, and it's basically what my manuscript is all about. And that is that God, the representation of God, is gracefully opening to the divine. Because as channels of energy, which is all we are, it is up to us to express that creative force energy that is nature and is all there is. And so if we are going to be representations of God, if we are going to be channels that, hello Paula, welcome, that are opening up to the expression of that creator energy, then we need to be so much more aware than ever before of how to do this. And I'm not going to tell you in one session because I'm still working out the details myself, but we can get there with a whole lot of other things. And how you actually hold that grace, because that's what it is. It's an energy of grace with everything that's going on, right? So it's such a complicated subject, and I'm trying to bring it in with words that will actually help me express what it is, but I'm also hoping that you feel the energy, right? Because if there's one thing that has also been a sentence in my awareness for years now, and for those of you that have followed my channel, you will know that for a couple of years I've been talking about the void, I've been talking about the changeover, I've been talking about the old, and that is that we are God's greatest experiment in distraction. So now what I want to talk about today is this concept of distraction. In other words, being distracted from that center that is our unique and powerful accumulation of God force creator energy, because that's what we have to hold. Now, I know a lot of people are tired. I, for one, a couple of days ago just said, I'm exhausted because there was a sense in me that I needed to do so much more out there, fixing, rescuing, healing, kind of, changing, that then I suddenly became aware and I thought, actually, no, I shouldn't be exhausted if I am continually working on bringing myself in and working with my central spiral of energy. And that's when the big aha moment just clicked on. And again, please, I'm no expert in this, right? I'm also a human here incarnating on this planet. But what I can tell you is that if we are to begin to really experience ourselves as God, as someone gracefully opening to the divine energy, because how else do we describe it, right? We can say omnipotent, we can say the field, we can say consciousness or all there is. But this here, this body, and the mental, emotional fields around us are just animated. We're just animated by that energy, by that force that has created the planet and planets and solar systems and universe. I mean, how freaking magnificent is that, right? So our only task at this point in time is to work with ourselves in such a way that we start removing the distractions. And actually, one of the distractions can be us and our emotional field and our beliefs and our thoughts and everything else, that we get lost in that. We get lost in the whirlwind of, oh my God, I must stop thinking that. Oh my God, I must stop that pattern. Oh my God, I must let that go, which is all part of the work. But if we look at the energetic structure that is happening now, and again, I'm going to share something with you that was very clear a couple of days ago, leading into today, full moon, lunar eclipse, is that the past is weaving its way into the present and the future is being grabbed back in. And I've spoken about this before, but there is nothing that is more powerful in bringing those timelines together as it is now and in the next couple of months. So again, let's work with visuals, since visuals is helpful, right? And my information always comes in the form of symbolism. If you can imagine there's various timelines, because that's where it is. There is no time and space that exists in the conscious field, in the universal energetic field. And again, I've used the analogy of energetic currents of cables, is that these timelines are running. Now we're experiencing this, right? Remember, as a body, we're just here experiencing these timelines. So in the world, not only is the matrices collapsing and other ones trying to be rebuilt, not yet though. And again, this is a difficult concept, so I'm hoping the imagery can help, is that these timelines are weaving their way from the past to present. Not only are they bringing in ancient wisdom that we've had for millennia, they are also bringing in your own past experiences from this lifetime from others. And you can imagine that there are a series of colored cables. Some of them are powerfully positive and full of information and healing, and others of them are not. Right? And where we are now is we're sifting through those timelines so that when we do the little explosion, which is kind of all of the timelines coming together, the explosion, the change, that then we get to choose what timeline next. And this isn't really something that actually we have to force. It's happening anyway. So if we can begin to imagine that we are just this expression of this omnipotent energy, that if we can just open, gracefully open, not forcefully open, gracefully open to the divine, gracefully open to the omnipresent energy, and stand looking at the distractions, then what we will do slowly but surely is bring our energy back into the vortex and that beautiful golden spiral that is us in energetic form. So for instance, I ask you to look at those distractions that are with you on a daily basis. Are you involved in someone else's story? Are you involved in someone else's drama? Are you involved in an identity of yourself that is no longer serving you? Right? All of these are energetic distractions that take you away from holding this vortex of energy. And I want you to imagine for a minute, here is this body. I mean, I'm moving my hands. I move my hands a lot when I talk. But if this body is just an animator of energy, then we can start to conceptualize the energy that is around us that holds the physical body, and that energy that is part of everybody else's field and the whole conscious field we find ourselves in. Because if there's one thing I'm also sure of, is based on the video that is getting the most hits in my video stream at the moment, was one I made a year ago, and I've mentioned this before, but it's very powerful, is the crying for no reason. And additional information I've got on that are the words touched by the divine. Now you can call it what you want, but as a globe, we have sent up the intention because we also create our own reality, right? So as an energetic stream, there have been streams of energy for years now, hundreds of years, saying, praying, intending for a better place for humanity, for a more peaceful place, for the earth to be taken care of. And what's happened is now that has gained such a big momentum that it's almost like this circle has been created where that intention is now coming back into the earth and hitting us. And you can have any number of labels and words to describe this, right? Energy incoming, solar influxes, divine vibrations, whatever you want to call it, but essentially it's humanity turning in on itself. And if we see that intention for the highest good as a light, because we use that analogy, right, then that light is coming in and touching the one center that needs to shift in order to hold that energetic vibration of yours, because the heart center is the anchor for the soul. And I don't want to get into that because there's a couple of new words I'm going to be using about the soul and other things. But that then is, it's like and again, imagery, analogy, a black hole sucks everything in, right? Let's talk science because this is science. It sucks everything in and it pulls it all in until it gets to a point where it suddenly is full to capacity. And again, I'm no quantum physicist, so I'm trying to describe it simply, that it turns in on itself. And then instead of sucking in, it becomes a creator. It becomes a creator of planets, a creator of universes. And my belief is, and if you want to learn more about this, look back in my history of videos because I've spoken about it, is that we are at that turning point, however you want to describe it. And so in the days when you feel frustrated, when you feel despondent, when you feel like, oh my God, what is my field ever going to do to change? Know that on a higher level, that turning point has been reached. And there is an influx of intentional vibrational energy that is meant for the upliftment of mankind. I've spoken about this before. We are moving from a horizontal plane to a vertical plane. We are moving from being asleep to being awake. And for me, a visual I've received for over 30, 40 years now is that of the crucifix, or what I thought was the crucifix, and me standing up on a mountain. And part of me is like, what does this mean? Do I become a minister? Do I become a nun? Do I become this or that? But actually, I know now. No, it's about me really living my truth and following the dreams and inputs and nudgings I've had to offer whatever it is I know and in my lifetimes have known about how we live as energetic vibrationary beings, and how we are not separate from that creative force, and that we are God incarnate, and that we are expressions of that God creator energy coming through us. And we need to ask ourselves, how are we animating this? How are we giving expression to this energetic force by means of our thoughts, by means of our words, by means of our actions, by means of our service on the planet? Feels a bit like a sermon today. I don't know why. But this is the root of it all. Now, obviously, I'm not saying it's necessarily simple, but in one way it is, because we overcomplicate things. We overcomplicate things with our minds and our need to be distracted and our need to create stories and our need to create conspiracy theories and our need to know which star system I come from and how do I open my third eye and how do I open my psychic abilities. All of that falls by the wayside if you can begin to work with yourself as an energetic expression, as an animation of the creative force energy that makes everything. And what we have been given as a task of humans, as opposed to maybe the animals and the plants who are just holding a field, they are holding a field, is that we are being asked to do the same. To become expressions of a coherent, calm, peaceful, creator energy that is healing for ourselves and is healing for others, so that ultimately there can be a place that is harmonious for all. And again, I don't want you to think that this is some utopian dream that can never be imagined. If we can really begin to understand how we are as expressions of creator energy and drop all the need to do all the other things, that's when the magic will start happening. And in order to do that, we need to calm our physical bodies. We need to be in silence. We need to be in solitude so that we can work with a vibration that slowly but surely starts whispering to us. But even meditation or yoga or anything else, if it's an act of being so that you can become better or become something else, takes you away from the center. And that's why last week's talk was about being present, about working with the power of now. And there's so many teachers and books. I mean, my God, why do we keep needing to have all of these teachers and all of these books, millions of them, to help us understand that we are just a conduit? I am a channel as much as you are. You know, in that word, I channel this, I channel that. We are all channelers of energy. That's what we are. It's what we do with it that counts. It's what energy we hold in our field that counts. And so where we are now with the timelines connecting, right, with the past coming up, because I don't know about you, but I've been having lots of dreams of houses and rooms and people in their rooms, and lots of dreams of my family and my early childhood and past lifetimes, but rooms after rooms, houses after houses. And the one explanation for a dream of houses is the house is a symbol of the soul, right? And I've spoken before about that. We are in a process of embodying the soul. And the soul, for want of a better word, is your highest vibrational aspect. And the soul itself needs healing because it comes with memories, it comes with imprints, it comes with attachments. But if we can really begin to understand that we are just an animated expression of creative energy, and that it is up to each one of us to really think, you raised the word think, to really intend to use that energy for the benefit of ourselves and others, then that is when the magic happens. To just let it be. And to know that if you can find a place to let it be, and like I said, you do start looking at those distractions, whatever it is that is distracting you, from being present in the now, from being peaceful in the now, that is what is moving you away from being a conduit. Hello, Maya. Welcome. Right? So if there's anything happening while I'm talking, it's that I feel like I'm hooking you all back into the source code, into the flow of source, and asking you to stand underneath that waterfall and feel what it feels like. Not to move or want to be somewhere else, want to be better, want to be more calm, want to be this, don't want to be anything apart from being the receiver of creative force energy. Remove the distractions because we are God's greatest experiment in distraction. And again, I'm part of this experiment, right? I'm not a guru that knows everything. I'm learning a lot and I'm bringing knowledge from my previous lifetimes and all of my spiritual guides who I know are here in force today. They're all here in force today. But it is that simple. Is that if we can really harness the power of that vortex and remove all the energy tendrils that we are sending out in various directions, you will begin to feel that energy. And that energy will take over everything else. It'll be what drives you. It'll be what fuels you. It'll be what feeds you. And slowly but surely, that energy will allow everything else to move and drop away. And unfortunately, emotions are one of those things that are human traits. Emotions don't exist in the higher realms. I know when I act as a medium and I'm transmitting from someone who's passed, and someone will say, how are they feeling? Are they still sad? And maybe immediately when they pass, that emotional layer is there. But after that, there are no emotions. Because an emotion is purely an energy framework that us humans have locked onto. And please, I'm not saying emotions are bad. Let's not go into that conversation today. But it is just energy in motion. And so you can also choose what emotion you really want to hold on to. And where we are today and in the next few weeks, it feels like there is a very powerful energy to just put down your baggage and drop it. And this has happened before in waves over the past few years. I've felt the waves of when the wave of... I hear you, Elizabeth. Indeed. Because why is it asking you to do that? Because that is where you are, and everyone can read Elizabeth's comment, that is where you are the powerful container to receive this. If you're chasing or wanting, your energy is moving away from that beautiful waterfall. So in human terms, we have these words that we use to try and describe things. Be patient, be still, be present, be now. But they're all words. And if we just see ourselves as this animated expression, that we just have to align ourselves under that flow of source energy, you will begin to feel it. And you will begin to embody it. And again, us humans have kind of thought that if we don't get involved, if we don't get out and fix, if we don't do, then that things don't change. And again, I'm not saying don't do nothing. But what am saying is if you are acting, if you are in service of the community, if you are going and helping people who are in trouble, helping people, then be present, be in the now, and channel that source energy as strongly as you can without embedding in their suffering. Because your greatest impact is the amount of energy you can hold in your field that is of the highest vibration, because that's how people feel it. And, maybe in 100, 150 years, I won't be around then, but we won't need to express. Already the psychic environment is so charged that so many more people are having psychic and telepathic experiences. Why? Because we're waking up to the fact that we are that. And that field of information exists for everybody. In whatever way you experience it. It doesn't have to be symbols and words and senses like I do. It can be anything. But that is the field. And so if we are trying to move to a field of coherence, of compassion, of respect, again, words, but there's a sense to that, then we really need to come back within ourselves and hold that. And you will also know, for those that have listened to me, is that I've been saying that a lot. From the beginning, from last year, self-healing, oxygen mask, self-care, compassion. Why? Because energetically, it brings you back to your center. Energetically, it creates that magnetic vortex of the frequency you need to hold for your healing and for others' healing. Because another image I got 2 days ago while meditating is that the splitting of the earth has happened. And this recreation of the new matrix is in the process, but there is still lots of work to be done. And I know you go through waves, and I know sometimes you're like completely empowered and other times you feel exhausted. So when you feel exhausted, ask yourself, am I being distracted? Am I trying too hard in certain areas? Where am I not, just as Elizabeth says, being patient and being still? Because if you're patient and you're still, that flow will find you and you will feel impassioned. You will feel enlivened. You will feel empowered. Because that turning inside out is happening, if it hasn't happened already. And so anything that has fed those low vibrations is going to fall away. So if you invested there, you're going to have to try so much harder. If you are a selfish, manipulative person and you're in a relationship with someone and you work with them in that way, you're going to have to try so much harder to manipulate them in future, because the foundation of that is breaking and collapsing. Much easier to show grace and acceptance. Much easier. The other side is going to be hard work. So in this series, or in this community that I'm being pushed to build, community of the white rose, I think I'm calling it. I've written lots I might share with you at some point, but in this community of the white rose, the one fundamental thing that I want you to connect with is that as a humanity, we are looking for the new word or new vocabulary around God, because the old vocabulary has segregated. The old religions have segregated. And please, this is no disrespect to any of you that might be religious, but it has. And it's created a separation from the human and the anthropomorphic type God that has led us to feel disempowered. So part of this new change now is, like I said, to create a God or a representation of God that implies you are gracefully opening to the divine, that you are opening to holding a vibration of creative life force energy that is conducive to the expression of it in a way that benefits you and everybody else. Sorry if I've labored on with the point, but the main thrust of this really is that you are not separate from that force. And whilst you may pray to God and intend for the best and set your prayers intentions, absolutely, but do not forget that you are an expression of that. And, you know, other sites or people that are talking Christ consciousness, I've also used in my talks, the crystalline matrix, the diamond light matrix, those are all just representations with our vocabulary that are stating that we are part of this creative force, that we are channeling the force that animates us and animates all life. And that if that creative force is what you want to call God, then you have God inside of you. You are God. You are an expression of the divine, omnipotent energy of which we are all a part. I think I've said all I want to say today. And I don't know whether I should read from my book. I don't think so. I think I'll share that another day. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm glad that I explained it in a way that is understandable. At the same time, you know, part of me was, how do I do this? Because it's such, how do you put words to that? I mean, I'm getting goosies all over. You know, and again, that's me, right? Mere mortal. How do I talk about this? But that's what I tell everybody, all of my clients. You are an expression of that. You have the most amazing light frequency potential in your field. I can't say that without trying to express that myself. So I hope at least that just bringing in that energy, even if my human wasn't, well, kind of able to express it, that you can feel it, that you take time to really experience the grace of God within you, the potential of God within you. And that you can gracefully open to the divine, G-O-D, more and more within yourself, so that people around you feel it, so that you feel it, and so that you can just express that highest aspect without having to strive too hard. Beautiful. That's what it is, right, Elizabeth? It's that sense of, and you know, you don't have to meditate for days and days and months. The days of being this yogic expert, and please, no ill respect, but it is, those are past. Now we just have to allow, and I'm sure I've said this on one of my videos before, but it feels like they are nudging me. I must say it again. Just really trust, be humble about it, but be empowered by it. Don't be egotistical about it, because that's not what it's for. It'll soon break apart then. But if you really will, with the greatest, most positively powerful intention, to be an expression of that and to offer service in whatever way comes up for you, because you can be a bus driver and show that. You could be a beggar on the street and have that. I know there's one gentleman in Friedhoek where I used to stay. He's been there for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, but I call him Jesus. He carves wood. I don't know whether any else of you know, but he's this tall figure and he just sits there carving next to the road. He emanates a presence, and I said to my children once long ago, like, perhaps that's Jesus. You won't know, because no one needs to know, right? No one needs to know you're carrying that energy, because they will feel it. Be humble and empowered. So I send you lots of love from this beautiful Sunday. Please engage with me. I'm working on ways to share more, to build a community, because that's what I think it's also part of. We all learn from one another. And when we are in a field of like-minded, loving people, we also generate that energy. It becomes bigger, more powerful, stronger, and a greater audience of people, a greater circle can feel that. So from my healing room here, and all of my guides, and my highest expression that is animating this human body of mine and this human voice, I send you love. Michelle, I'm going to read your message. Thank you, Elizabeth. Michelle, if you find that in solitude you can hold it and outside it gets popped, then spend more time in solitude. Because the intention is not necessarily for you to go and do something or to say something. It's for you to be able to hold your field. And maybe that's the balance, right? Is that you work, you pop out, you realize, oh my God, what popped it? And that's the important thing, is when you get back home, you ask yourself, what popped it? Was there something within me that was triggered? Was it doubt? Was it fear? Was it anxiety? Because those are the things that you will need to shift from your field. And again, with love, with compassion, they will go as needed. But if you're finding you're holding and then you go out there and something comes, find what it is within you that pulls you away from that center. Because that's what it is. Normally magnetic, right? This magnetic influence that pulls you out. A bit like, they're showing me now an image of when you have like the cellophane wrap with water that you kind of pull and you make this bubble of air. It's a pull they're showing me. For you, it's a pull. It's not nothing inside, but it's pulling you. So what is it that's being magnetically pulled when you're out there? Fear, anxiety, doubt. Those are the three things that pop immediately. Have a look at that. Come back into your center, come back into your solitude, connect and see how you feel again. Because make no mistake, it's hectic out there, right? We know that. It's not an easy environment. And it is a bit like a roller coaster. It's not smooth sailing. And so we need tenacity. We need fortitude. We need resilience. We need faith. What is your faith? What do you believe in? Belief is your power source. Faith keeps you there. I'm glad it's resonating, Maya. So take some time after the session then to go and sit quietly, write down. I feel like I've shared healing energy with all of you and anyone else who sees this at a later date, is that the healing energy in this transmission, however you want to call it, is very powerful. And it can hook you back into that source code, into that alignment. Make use of that, connect with that, feel the power. Understand this is what it feels like. When I say power, I'm not saying power as in forceful power. I'm saying power of passion, heart, love, openness, expansion, and work with that. Okay, connect with me in whatever way you feel. Share this with others if they want to, if you feel they need to hear it. Have a look at my other teachings. I'm going to keep pushing these out, as well as my videos and other stuff. And as always, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for taking time to listen and taking time to create this, energetic circle that we create when we talk. I'm really grateful and I'm humbled that you're willing to listen to what I have to say. And I hope it resonates in some way and that you get something from it. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everybody who was here and stayed. And have a blessed week ahead. Thank you, Lorna. Blessed week ahead. Yep. Breathe, believe, and be present. Much love to you all. Bye for now.